Hello everyone and welcome to this Facebook video which looks at the 2 vocabulary exercises that I asked you to do. Now, these vocabulary exercises are around about the B2 or upper intermediate level, but this is important because in every aspect of life, whether you're talking about business or academic or just meeting people or whatever, you are almost always going to have to describe people or their characteristics. So although you might be thinking, oh God, people vocabulary, this is really important because you use it absolutely everywhere. So let's have a look at the first exercise, and I'll talk you through the answers. I'll explain why the answer is the answer, and if possible, how to use the other answer, the wrong answer in each question, if it's possible to use the other answer by changing the structure of the sentence or doing something else in order to make it work. So for question number 1, the answer is taller. Jim is taller than I am. Now, why is the answer taller? The reason is, if something is connected to the ground and reaches up from the ground, then we talk about how tall something is. So, I am connected to the ground by my feet, so is Jim, so are you. Trees are connected to the ground, buildings are connected to the ground, so we talk about these things as regards how tall they are. If something is not connected to the ground, for example, aeroplanes, when they're flying, or birds, or hot air balloons, or anything like that, we talk about how high they are. So that bird is higher in the sky than that bird is okay. But if we're talking about people, buildings, trees, or anything connected to the ground, then the answer is going to be taller. So in this case, Jim is taller than I am. My sister is shorter than I am, not lower. Think about think about tall and short as opposites, and think about high and low as opposites as well. So just as taller refers to people who are connected to the ground, then in the same way we can think about shorter as well. My brother isn't fat, he's stocky. Stocky is an adjective to describe someone who is well built, someone who's quite square in terms of their body shape. Sticky actually can be used in completely the opposite way, someone who is as thin as a stick. It's unusual to say that someone is sticky. Normally we would say that someone is thin, or use a different adjective to describe that. Slim, perhaps. Sticky perhaps would be a bit unkind if we were going to use that as an adjective. Normally we would use sticky to refer to something which has got glue or tape or something which sticks to something else. So this glue is sticky. For question number 4, the word skinny is slightly more negative than the word, let me just move this Word document out of the way, thinning or thin. The answer here is thin. If we're going to use an adjective to describe people, we would say that they are thin. Thinning is an adjective we use for other purposes, but not to describe people. And indeed, skinny is indeed a little bit more negative than the word thin. So if you're going to choose an adjective to describe someone, be aware that skinny has got a negative connotation. He's completely bald. He lost all of his hair years ago. Now, the answer here is bald with an A. Bold would mean brave, or could mean extroverted in some contexts. But bald, B-A-L-D, means without hair. For question number 6, my sister works out every day, so she's in good shape. In other words, she's fit. So she's healthy and she can play sports, etc, etc. So if you're in good shape, it means that you're feeling healthy, or someone appears healthy to you, someone who's fit, perhaps athletic as well. Shaped would be an adjective we would use to describe how something is put into a particular shape. So you could talk about people being shaped in terms of their political views. You could talk about people being shaped in terms of their education. You can even talk about how things are shaped, whether it's a piece of art or whether it's, I don't know, what have I got on my desk? We could talk about how my microphone is shaped into the shape that it has, and here's my microphone here, so it's shaped into some form of I don't know what you would call that. Anyhow, you get what I mean. He's not fat, but he has, number 7, he's not fat, but he has a bit of a belly. A bit of a belly. This is a bit of an informal expression. Wouldn't be used in formal context. So if you're thinking about your exams and you of course think about register, informal and formal language, bit of a belly is clearly informal language, and it refers to someone who is carrying a little bit more weight than they should be carrying. So you've got slim and thin on one end, you've got fat on the other, and then you've got in the middle, you've got perhaps overweight. Stocky could be used in this way as well. But we wouldn't say he has a bit of fat. That's not a language pattern that would work in English. He's 6 feet tall. 6 feet tall. Now, 6 feet is a imperial measurement that we use in the United Kingdom, and I think they use in America as well. 6 feet is 180 centimeters tall. I'm 6 feet tall, or 180 centimeters tall. And of course, it's tall because, just like number 1, I'm connected to the ground. He walks with a limp. A limp is when one leg hurts and the other leg doesn't hurt. So you kind of have that funny, uneven walk because one of your legs hurts. And this is what we call a limp. A lump is simply something that you feel. So, for example, if I bashed my hand against the wall, then I might well have a lump in my hand. And that lump may well hurt as well. My grandfather has trouble walking fast. In other words, he can't walk fast easily. So basically what we're saying is that my grandfather has difficulty in walking fast. We could say problem if we said my grandfather has a problem walking fast. We could say that, but we would have to change the structure of the sentence. But it is an option. It would mean a similar thing. So this is another option. But for here, the answer is trouble. Okay, let's have a look at the second exercise, also describing people, physical traits. Number 1, my brother is blind in one eye. He can't see. If you are blind, it means that you can't see, and you can be blind in one eye, and you can be blind, of course, in both eyes. You can, of course, let me bring my Word document up here. You can, of course, be partially sighted as well. This means that you have difficulty seeing. Like me, for example, I could say that I'm partially sighted. I need quite strong glasses. Blonde refers to hair colour. So if you say my brother is blonde, what you're saying is that my brother has got blonde coloured hair. And related to that is question number 2. My sister used to dye her hair blonde. Now, D-Y-E, dye and dye are pronounced in exactly the same way. But D-Y-E means coloured. So my sister used to colour her hair so it was blonde. So we dye, D-Y-E would be correct. Of course, you can dye other things as well, normally materials, fabrics, etc., etc., to change the colour. My complexion is much darker than my brother's. So my complexion, this refers to your skin tone or your skin colour. So whereas complex refers to difficult or complicated or something along those lines. So my complexion is much darker than my brother, but we could say in a completely different context, I am more complex than my brother, which means that I'm more difficult to understand. Related to that as well, related to complexions, Linda is always tanned during the summer. Tanned means that obviously you've been sunbathing, and that as a result of that, the colour of your complexion has changed. So your complexion, your skin colour, is now darker because you are tanned. He's not bald, but he does have a receding hairline. Receding means, and it's correct, receding. The reason why it's receding, because it refers to something which is going back. So my hairline used to be around about here, but now it's slowly receding back up my head, and then one day I might well be bald. Reducing means getting smaller or getting lower. So in terms of people can reduce. We wouldn't say that. We would say people get smaller, but they reduce their height in some people's case when they get older. So older people tend to get a little bit smaller, and of course you can reduce many other things as well. You can reduce, for example, the amount of people in a place. So we need to reduce how many people are coming into the shop, for example. Paula is very good looking. It means attractive. This is a collocation that you have to learn. Good looking means attractive. We don't say good viewing in any context. Good viewing will always be wrong. I'm out of shape. I ran, which means I am not fit. I ran for 5 minutes and I'm already out of what? We're out of breath. Breath is how much air you have in your lungs. So when you're breathing heavily, then we would say that you are out of breath. And you would normally be out of breath if you've indeed been running or exercising. We wouldn't say I'm out of breathing. This would be an incorrect collocation and it would always be wrong. She has shoulder length hair. This talks about how long something is. So if we talk about the length of something, we're talking about how long that thing is. But we would always use the word length to describe how long something is. So what's the length of a football pitch? What's the length of your car? What's the length of your hair in this case? So in this case, shoulder length would be to your shoulders. We could, of course, say, how long is your hair? My hair goes down to my shoulders. So length as regards how long something is. We could use, in a business or political context, we could talk about length of career, so how long your career was. We could talk about the length of your success. If you were successful for a period of time and then afterwards you weren't. Peter has a shaved head, not a razored head. Razored is not an adjective we would use to describe pretty much. I can't think of an example where I would use razored, in all honesty. So in this case, shaved head. And I'm in need of a shave as well. So shaved would be the correct answer here. He is a very stylish man. Stylish refers to how someone looks. In this case here it says he wears very fashionable clothes. So it refers to how someone appears in your opinion, whether someone is stylish or whether they are not stylish. Styling as an adjective talks about the process of making something look perhaps stylish. So hair styling, as an example, styling your hair to make it look in one way, styling a person in terms of what kind of clothes they would wear, colours, shapes, fits, sizes, etc., etc. But in this case, if we're looking at someone and commenting, we would say that someone is a very stylish man or woman, or someone is not very stylish. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video where I went through those vocabulary exercises. They come from the great web page learnenglishfeelgood.com. I can recommend that for lots and lots of vocabulary exercises. And it's always good, as I said at the beginning, these, although the topic is quite normal, describing people, we can of course describe people at various different levels of complexity. So it's always good to have a wide range of adjectives that you can use to make your English sound a little bit more advanced, rather than just sticking to the straightforward and the simple adjectives. Okay, I'll see you soon with another vocabulary exercise. Remember, if you're studying for an English exam, whether it's the FCE, CAE or Matura exams or any other English exams, check out my website crammingtheexam.com, where you can study a number of textbooks online for a very, very small price. So if you haven't checked it out or signed up, please do so.